Hi, I'm Margaret Fowle with Audubon, Vermont. I'm a conservation biologist, and my colleague Mark Labar and I work with landowners, both private and public, to manage habitat for priority birds that nest in shrublands. A shrubland is typically an area that has this young patches of shrubs, a few trees standing behind, like the ones behind me, sometimes a forest backdrop, and then patches of openings that are grasses or forbs like goldenrod or milkweed. Today I'm at Wheeler Park in South Burlington, and I'm surveying for some of these birds that use shrubland habitat. The habitat looks really good. We've got a lot of native shrubs like dogwoods here. We've got singing trees, taller trees, apples. We also have a few invasives, which I'll talk about later. But some of the birds I'm looking for are called golden-winged warbler and blue-winged warbler, and these are species that are pretty rare in Vermont, but they happen to live in the Champlain Valley, and we know there's some nearby in other habitats. So we're looking for them today to see if we have any at Wheeler Park. So here we are in an area where the park's staff have done some management, which is good for the birds here because some of the dogwoods start to get kind of tall and leggy. They lose vegetation low down, and so cutting those back and allowing younger dogwoods to sprout up is helpful in creating a diversity of structure as well as giving the birds better habitat for nesting. You can see it looks a little bit rough right now, but by the end of the summer, probably will be hard to even notice that this happened because the goldenrod and other forbs like asters and maybe milkweed might come in, which are all also good for birds, but also good for pollinators. One of the common problems with some of this habitat is the amount of invasive species growing in it, especially in the Champlain Valley. We have mostly invasive shrubs called honeysuckle, like this shrub right behind me here, and buckthorn back there. And these shrubs are not great for the birds. They don't provide as nutritious food for some of these shrubland obligates that other native shrubs like dogwoods and viburnums do. So ideally, if you were going to manage this habitat, you might want to get rid of these invasives that would actually create the openings we're looking for by getting rid of the invasive buckthorn and honeysuckle and allow some of the natives to come back in. Some of the birds we've heard today, one's been a surprise. It's a clay-colored sparrow. It's not a common bird here in Vermont, probably moving through during migration. It sounds a bit like a golden-winged or blue-winged warbler, so we weren't quite sure until we saw it. But what we do generally is walk the area, stop and listen, and identify the birds either by song or by sight. So behind me I'm hearing a cardinal, I'm hearing a brown thrasher, I've heard eastern towhee. Birds like eastern towhee and thrasher are some of the shrubland obligates that we are focusing on. They're both in decline range-wide, and so enhancing the habitat here is beneficial for them. Still looking for blue-winged and golden-winged warblers. In other habitats that we've managed, especially in some of the town parks like Japrags Park and Charlotte Wildlife Park, we've actually banded some of those birds. So we can track how long they use the habitat, and we put some geolocators on a few to see where they migrate in the winter. And the idea is to get a sense of what the conservation needs are for these birds during their entire life cycle, not just when they're breeding.